Hello, Pumpkin Patch. And welcome to a very special stream where we cover spooky stories for Halloween. Today we'll be covering a few stories from r/nosleep, but we'll also have some time to chat just before I start and after I finish. I'll let you know when those times are. Obviously now would be the time before, but I'll let you know when I'm completely finished with all the stories, because there will be several. They weren't as long as I was looking for, so I thought I would compile several into this one stream. This is something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I love content where we have spooky stories. I love any and all sorts of, how do you say? Spooks, I guess you might call it. And obviously I'm a demon, so I do a little spookery myself. I do a little frightful intervention myself, Allow me a moment just to, yeah, I'm definitely live. Fantastic. Just so like on stream elements, because with this background it doesn't work so well. And now we send this. It will have changed, hopefully. I just watched to see. The text should be, yeah, it's white. I'll wait a moment more just to see if anyone's gonna filter in. If my mod will show up, it should be coming in soon. If not, I understand he's got a busy life. I'm just going to double check my audio is all okay. Yep, no problems there. And it's back. Sometimes I worry, you know, because I've had so many technical issues. So it's a good idea to check. Anywho, I think now might be a good time to start reading. I've been live for almost 10 minutes. So let's just have some liquid refreshment first. Today we're drinking Iron Brew, the unofficial drink of Scotland. One of my personal favorites. Anyhow, now that we're adequately liquidated, just allow me to post the credit of this wonderful story I'll be narrating for you today. I'll do so in the comments. So the first story we're reading today, as credited in the chat, as you will see, is called "I Was Sent to the Wrong Type of Jail" by Saturday. Now, the user has posted a post saying that they allow any and all types of narration on YouTube, but they do want credit, which is why I haven't PM'd them for permission or anything, because it just says in the post you don't have to do that. So I won't be wasting their time when they've already said yeah, that's completely fine. But yeah, user Saturday, that's spelled SATUR and then dead, you know. You'll see it in chat anyway. Without further ado, I think I shall. I say that all the time, don't I? I think I shall begin. I was sent to the wrong type of jail. I was moved from county jail in October of 2016 following my conviction for armed robbery. I'm not here to garner sympathy, but I want to be clear on a couple of things. This was an unfair sentence. Not in the usual innocent man put in jail type of shock, but in the way that they were clearly pushing me towards being put in a particular jail. I had my blood tested and my hair was sent to a lab. They took pictures of my fingernails. I've never seen anything like it, but I was basically catatonic. I was in a bad place. I wanted it all to just be over. At the time, I didn't think much about the processing. I didn't think about the records that were passed between the guards and doctors. I didn't care much about the blue rubber stamps that were put at the base of every signed legal document. I didn't know what was normal and what wasn't. I just wanted to get to the haze and no brain and the next 6 or so years away. I was put in a cell with Leon Sun, a Chinese American man. To this day, I don't have the slightest idea what he was in for. The guy looked like your average college kid, but there was just something off about him. He just had this look of complete dissociation, like he was miles away. He never really looked at you. It was as if he looked straight through you. Then again, a lot of inmates get that. I barely managed to talk to him in the first few days. We agreed that I took the top bunk, but that was pretty much all we managed to talk about. We had a straightforward schedule: breakfast and work up to 11, lunch, more work, some yard time, dinner. After that, we either got to our specialized programming time, religious services, NA, anger management, etc., or an extra hour in the yard, and back in the cell, lights out by 11. In my first few days, I had to go through a lot of orientation. There were the kind of who's introductions you might expect, but also just someone pointing to which shelf they stocked the detergent. Basic stuff. I got a job cleaning the beddings. They were so cheap that a firm enough poke would go straight through them. A piece of paper. Washing them was basically putting them in a shredder. We had to go on such a low setting that they rarely ever got clean. I swear I saw a cockroach in one of the pillowcases once. And the damn thing was still alive after the wash and dry. The pillows were also crap. They ripped easily, and feathers would get stuck to everything. Probably wasn't a room in this whole facility without feathers littering the floor. How they were even in the yard? Most of them were, in fact. We'd have rotating schedules, so I rarely got to work with the same people 2 days in a row. I started to recognize a few faces, but people mostly kept to themselves. There was no locker room talk, no braggarts, no bravado, just people hunkering down and shutting up. Even early on, I noticed something was off. I think it all came down to the yard. People stayed away from the prison yard. No one used the exercise equipment. People just stuck to the walls or silently walked by the fences. There were no loud conversations, no sport, nothing. And as soon as that 3 hour was up, people were pushing to get back in. From day one, I got the impression that the yard was a bad place to be, but no one was telling me why. What kind of a prison has dust on the free weights? By the end of the first week, I started to get into the routine. I was out cold by 10 most nights. How I had bedding with the least holes in them. Might as well use that luxury. But there was one night when I just couldn't sleep. I lay down and then all of a sudden I'd be wide awake. There's this whistling sound that came down the hall. It just kept echoing in the back of my head. At first it was a wind and a whistle. With no other sound around, growing in my head until it sounded like a goddamn truck siren. I pushed my hands against my ears, covered my head in a pillow, but it didn't do a thing. Finally, I just started to mutter to myself, just to fill the air with some other noise. Please stop, I'd whisper, please stop. And the funny thing, it did. It stopped. The next day, I was exhausted. I kept nodding off. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, pretty much any time I could sit down, the guards would push me awake. And the other inmates just sort of stared at me. Some of them actively avoided me, like there was something wrong with me. When it was time for the yard, the guards took me aside and asked me to help clean the common area. No yard time for me, go sweep some feathers. That night, I went to bed as soon as I could. At the moment my head hit the pillow, I was wide awake again. And down through the hall there was a howling wind. There was no way for me to sleep. The sound just kept growing and all my tiredness was just gone. Whispering didn't work anymore. I had to speak out loud. Around midnight I was still awake. I was just lying there, talking to myself. Putting words to the random thoughts in the back of my head to keep my mind occupied. Anything to drown out that awful drowning noise outside. I couldn't let it grow further. It was like trying to stop a ship from sinking, one bucket at a time. I don't have the slightest idea how Leon tolerated it, but he didn't say a word. Things just got worse. I couldn't sleep that entire night. When it was time to get up, I could barely stand. I fell asleep brushing my teeth, dropping my toothbrush in the sink. I was so tired, so used to talking to myself by then that I blurt out whatever came to mind. I was sleep deprived, exhausted, and just confused. And people took notice. There was this one guy, Marlon, who was about as new as I was. Short, athletic guy who was just itching for a fight. I accidentally bumped into him in the lunch queue, and he went off on me. Pushed me out of line, bashed me over the face with a tray, and just started wailing on me. Guards were just taking a sweet time, so I just had to take it. I couldn't. There's something in me that wanted to hurt this guy. I grabbed his shirt and looked him in the eyes. You want to get whipped, Greenie? I said, you want us to whip you? I don't know where the words came from. It's just the first thing that came to mind, and the sleep deprivation just forced it out of my mouth like a hiccup. What? What did you say? He stammered. I asked if the little Greenie wanted a whipping. He backed up. His jaw went slack as he just stared at me, unblinking. Just as I'd found words out of nowhere, he'd lost them. His eyes teared up as he backed himself up against the wall. Prison guards came up to restrain us, and I could see all the fire had run out of him. See you at the orchard, Greenie, I added. Whip, whip. Marlin broke down. He screamed, tears running out of his eyes. He dropped to the floor and the guards had to carry him out. I thought I'd feel good after that, but the way everyone was staring at me made me feel like a museum exhibit. I had this sickeningly wide smile painted on my face, but it wasn't mine. None of this was me. I was losing control. It scared the hell out of me. I was a puppet. That night, I didn't even bother trying to sleep. I knew that as soon as I'd lay down to try, I'd just be awake again. Instead, I tried sleeping on my feet, or sitting on the floor. This time, Leon couldn't ignore me. He sat up on his bed, looking at me instead of through me. You want something? He asked. You itching? Nah, I said, shaking my head. Just broken. Something's not right. You phobic? Trouble with the walls? Maybe. I don't know. Can't sleep. I thought you sleep all the time, just not in here. Yeah, I sighed. That's about right. They stamp you when you got here? You got any stamps? Some, yeah, blue ones. Everyone gets blue ones. What shape? Dunno, I shrugged. Leanne took a long look at me. In those few dragging seconds, I could hear the wind outside growing louder and I winced. I groaned to drown out the noise, but it was barely working. I might have to scream to keep it together for another night. I got 2 stamps, he said. A hand and a sunflower. You sure you don't know which one you got? Which did you get? I asked. What do they mean? I got the hand. Most of us did. No idea what it means, but the sunflowers are always a bit pointed at me, as to make a point. Maladaptive. Private presence, I chuckle. Bullshit. All of it. Leon leaned back in his bed and closed his eyes. Yeah, he said. Sung us into flowers and hands like a goddamn daycare. Probably a woodchuck and a dolphin stamp too. Leon was out like a light, but as expected, I couldn't sleep. I paced back and forth, screamed into a pillow and tried massaging my ears. The scratching noise sort of helped, but I still found myself restless. Finally, I got out of bed and pressed my head against the door. Maybe if I let the wind howl, it'll take pity on me. Maybe it would get to a point where it'd either kill me or stop. I didn't care which, as long as something happened. But the strangest thing came to me. As I pressed my head against the door, the sound became clearer. The wind softened to a whistle and then a gentle hum. The more I leaned into it to listen, the more beautiful it became. There, leaning against the door, I had the best sleep of my entire life. The next morning, Leon pulled me up as the guards did their rounds. I'd slept through all night and I felt amazing. Even then and there, at my best, I could hear a little piercing sound. That wind, that whisper, was still in the back of my mind. Even now, during daytime, all I had to do was lean into it, to listen, and a wave of calm would wash over me. It worried me how easy it was. You got through it? Leon asked. I'm getting there. wasn't paying much attention during breakfast. I was zoned out. Listened to what turned into a melody. Something was speaking to me, but not through words. Through emotions and sensation. There wasn't a word that warned me about Marlon creeping up on me with a sharpened toothbrush. It wasn't the guards or the other roommates. No. Something in the back of my mind screaming at me to hurt him. So I did. All I heard was laughter. There was this alien joy springing up in my chest, forcing me to my feet. I remember turning around and the world looking different. I felt 4 feet taller. I was looking into Marlon's eyes, but I didn't see him. I saw a teenage kid running through an orchard, hunted by his older brothers who wanted to beat him with a tire iron. Whip whip! When I came to, I was still laughing. It wasn't my own laugh, and neither was the joy. The howling wind was finally quiet, but I felt a stranger in my own body. I couldn't feel my limbs, and it took me seconds just to orient myself. To remember my fingers, my feet, my eyes. Marlon was bleeding on the floor from a dozen wounds, deep bruising, broken bones. Possibly brain damage from repeated hits to the side of the head. Involuntary twitching like a fish out of water, his mouth opening and closing. Like me, he just couldn't find the words. It looked like I'd beaten him with a goddamn tire iron. I was taken back to my cell without a word, paraded through the halls like a prize. I could feel the other inmates staring at me, trying to figure me out. As soon as I looked their way, I saw them recoil. I don't know what the hell they'd seen, but they were looking at me like a goddamn monster. I was locked in my cell for hours. No one was allowed in. And all the while, I kept hearing something in the back of my head, singing to me, asking me to listen just a little closer. And as soon as I resisted, that noise turned to pain. Within minutes, I was pacing the cell, spewing whatever nonsense came flooding through my mind. Nonsense about everything, about everyone, just noise. When the guards finally opened the door, I turned to them without skipping a beat. They had their tasers ready. Dad doesn't know if Eddie is really your son, I rambled. You think he was premature, but she had that time with Ivan at her job the month before. She thinks about telling you. She thinks that might just be the push you finally need to divorce. Taser to the neck, and I didn't even feel it. I dropped to the floor in a spasm. My body was screaming with laughter. He had her on the copier. She didn't even think about you. She hoped to see him there again the next week. And there, somewhere deep inside, I found my own thoughts and words, standing by as someone else held the reins. I wanted to tear my ears out to make it all go away, but I couldn't even move my hands. I listened too long and too closely, and now the guards were dragging me by the neck. They took me out to the yard. I heard them talking. They were standing next to me, carrying me, but it still sounded like they were in another room. I could barely make out their voices. Hatchet men mixed up the blood works, they said. Got the wrong class. Shit, we got Bloomer? We had Bloomer this whole time? The goddamn Christmas miracle, the Papa's Sally. So why are we taking him out? Just making sure. Protocol. Fuck protocol. Fuck off. Left me in the middle of the yard, lining up in a circle around me. The guard I'd been yelling at stayed inside, weeping over a picture. After a few minutes, I felt a tingle in my hands. It felt like being poured back into my body, like my mind was a liquid. It all came back to me, one thing at a time. Language, memory, senses. Choice. Suddenly I was standing up. Wind was clearer out in the open. It was colder than expected. I wasn't even wearing my shoes. There was a stillness in the air, and there was something menacing to it, like the eye of a storm. Nothing's happening, I heard. We take him in? Hold on. Look up. From afar, it looked like snow. I didn't even question it. Snow in mid-July? Sure, why not? But it wasn't snow. A white feather touched my nose. I looked up into the clouds, and there, far above, I saw something looking back. I can't explain what I felt at that moment. It felt as if I was looking into an eye in the sky, an impossible physical being, but there was nothing there. And yet it spoke through me, like playing a mind game of charades with myself. It was just flashing in the back of my mind, trying to reach an understanding. Thousands of memories pouring out the front of my brain every second, like a pitcher being filled up and spilling over the edge. Gone nosebleed, trying to keep up. My eyes rolled back, but still I felt like I was looking up. It was easier to see with my eyes closed. My mouth seized up from trying to find 1,000 words at once. It's just settling on noises and grunts. The parts were crystal clear. It showed me memories I didn't know I had. It showed me my eyes opening for the first time, little hands grabbing my mother's cardigan, her big A's glasses making her eyes look like a cartoon. It showed me up, waking in my crib, reaching for the little toys dancing overhead. I understood what it meant, that we were born with this instinctual drive to reach beyond our means, to stretch towards the sky, to grab and pull down the unknown to us, making it a part of ourselves. The most basic instinct of my being was meant to be here, to do this, to reach up. Oh, I wheezed. All was silent. I looked down as I floated 6 feet off the ground. No! I groaned. Memories of long-lost dreams came rushing back. Pleasant thoughts you don't want to wake from. Promises of love, lust, joy, and comfort. It was all there, just waiting for me to take it. What I had to do was reach for it. To reach into the sky and take it. But there was something more, that eye in the sky looking down at me. Not malevolent, not angry, not evil, just vast, beyond comprehension. I was nothing more than a strand of wheat being plucked into the air by a curious farmer. No! 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 I screamed. He came running up to me. Guards grabbed my legs, pulling me down. It felt like I was being torn in half, part of me desperately reaching upwards and my conscious self holding me to the ground. All the while the pleasant silence was turning from a whisper to a scream. We got it! A guard yelled as the weather picked up. Get him out of here! Get him! Something let go of me. The guard on my left lost his breath as he suddenly went limp. Nothing but a whistle. I saw him whisked into the sky. Not a word of protest, not a sound, just a human life growing smaller and disappearing overhead. I dropped to the ground as they scrambled to get inside. Another guard fell flat on his stomach as something invisible grabbed his ankles. Again, a soft whisper, and he was gone. A spot in the dark. Run! Come on! The other guards were standing by the entrance, holding the doors open. They were waving at me, desperate for me to just run. Every part of me wanted to stay, to reach up, to touch the sky and go back to the place I was meant to be. To feel my mother's cardigan between my baby soft fingertips and to look into the night sky with wonder of what could be. It was all there. Yeah, my body knew to run. The moment I got inside, I heard thumping. Chunks of meat sprayed across the yard, fragments of bone getting stuck in the barbed wire, fabric torn into shreds. Whatever was up there, happy now, and the howling wind was silent. We all just stood there. I could barely breathe. I'd been so close to surrendering, to give into it, but whatever was up there had no intention of caring for me. There was no love, no joy, no comfort. All it could promise me was a swift death at best. Or the life of a sleepless puppet. But for a moment, we all just stood there. We weren't inmate and prison guards. In that moment, we were just people trying to understand ourselves. I got processed the next day. They double-checked my blood. Turns out the contaminate my result. Sloppy work from the esteemed people at Hatchet by Technica. This time I saw them clearly stamp my papers. Blue ink in the shape of a little sunflower. I was taken out of state. They said it was a matter of security on account of getting in fights with Marlin. Apparently he'd broken both legs and his shoulder. Still, I knew better. This wasn't a matter of security. This was about fixing a grave mistake. This prison had a purpose, but I wasn't part of it. Instead, I did my time in a place with no wind, and now I'm on parole. To this day, I get a shiver in my spine when I hear the whistling wind. I'm scared of my dreams, of my memories. I'm afraid there's still something in me that wants to go back, to look up. My psychiatrist, Dr. Bolin, tells me I'm got an agoraphobic trauma to deal with. She says she has some kind of experimental treatment for it, but I don't know. Overexposure therapy sounds dangerous. But even now, I find myself suddenly waking in the middle of the night. My body talking to itself, telling truths I couldn't possibly know to an empty room. Sometimes not even in my own language. Sometimes in no language at all. Every now and again, a white feather still lands on my shoulder. I just know that looking up will be the end of me, or the start. So, I was sent to the wrong type of jail. What did you all think of that? I'd love to know in the comments. Or in chat, if you're here. I thought it was a very unique twist on prison horror, you know? Rather than it just being the horror of being in a prison, it was more so this otherworldly force deeply involved with some sort of corporation keeping you there. I thought it was very interesting. It was very reminiscent of SCP, you know? I thought it was great. I think, yeah, eye open sensitivity needs to go up a bit because I closed my eyes a lot during that. Without really meaning to. Yeah. I'm gonna pause and have something to drink. If you'd like to chat for a bit, now is a good time because we're in between stories. Alright, I was just messaging some authors of some no sleep stories just in case we need some stories for next time, which we probably will. Anyhow, we're gonna be reading some more stories from Standard. Hi Mubra, how's it going? I'm doing good. I really like reading spooky stories. Puts me in a happy mood. We're gonna be reading some more stories from Saturday because I know I have permission. A lot of other authors on No Sleep have not really gone back to me yet, so we shall see. Yeah, how are you, my bro? Before we start? Your endings before has been really nice. It's good to hear you good, my bro. And hey, Ray! I was just double checking that the story is okay. Anyhow, I think I'm gonna start. That's okay with you guys. Unless you want to keep chatting for a bit, I don't mind. This story is by the same user that started it, as credited in the chat. And it's called Something Went Wrong with Our Escape Room. Which, if anything's gonna scare me, it's probably gonna be this, because as I was saying, I think yesterday, I went to an escape room, and it was like serial killer themed, and nothing scared me other than the pure, like, spooky sounds that made it sound like someone was walking in, like, every few minutes. So I was just constantly on guard. So yeah, I got scared by audio more so than anything else. I think it was like a fan or something, and with the fan as well, it kind of looked like there was someone in that room, even when we'd progressed to a different room. Like, several different rooms to go through. Yeah, the fan was very, very spooky. It made this loud banging sound every now and again. I think there was like a recording of loud banging sounds happening, and like water dripping and stuff, and then there was this big swirly fan just going round and round. It looked like someone kept walking into the room while we were in the room adjacent, and that was spooky. Especially since it really started getting spooky when we progressed to this really little tiny side room that had like a furnace. Yeah. I think iPhone tracking warps the model a bit more than the webcam does. Let me look at this. Oh well. Anyhow, I'm gonna get started on the story. How about sorry? Let me just have a glug of iron brew first. Okay, all good. Something went wrong with our escape. We wanted to do something special for Lindsay's birthday. She turned 30 just as the COVID lockdown came into effect, so we missed a big one. When the stars finally aligned and my calendar synced up, we decided we were going to get her something special. A girls' night out for the first time in years. Lindsay always had a bit of a dark streak. Her birthday is just 1 week before Halloween, so by then everything is pumpkin flavoured and covered in plastic spiderwebs. Spooky things were just part of her aesthetic. And even as a mother of two, we'd still see her sporting a skull necklace or pentagram earrings every now and again. But we were running out of time. We couldn't decide what to do. Some of us could sit aside the whole weekend, others had to work or be home by midnight. It was getting difficult to settle on a single thing that would fit everyone. That is, until Aggie found something that was just perfect. An escape room. We all met up on a Saturday. It's me, Dawn, Aggie, and Lindsay. After a fancy dinner and a long walk, we arrived at the Apostle Collective building. It opened up a year ago and they'd been booked solid all spring long. How we managed to book a room this close to Halloween was nothing short of a miracle. Something you have probably heard about them, they're sort of a chain. They got like 5 locations, most of them in Minnesota. The place was spot on. It didn't just have the classic Halloween stuff, but smoke machines, hidden speakers, projectors, the whole kit. The staff were dressed up in prosthetics, looking like old-time zombie carnival workers. We stepped in, they checked our booking, they gave us a little box of free popcorn. Lindsay was ecstatic. We told the staff it was all for her birthday, so they paid a little extra attention to her. She deserved it. As we stepped up to the door, they gave us an introduction. You're stepping into the box of the godless grinning witch, we're told. This is our longest, scariest room yet. Pretty much brand new apart from playtesters. You were lucky to get a booking. The other group cancelled last minute. Either way, all you need to solve it can be found in there. Just try not to break any furniture or move anything that's been bolted down. None of the clues will require a ton of force, so you wouldn't have to break anything or exert yourself. Other actors? Do you want to ask? You can tell us, right? I can, but I won't. But whatever happens, you won't be harmed. Something might reach for you, chase you, touch you, but no harm. So please try to keep that in mind. Are you leaving the door open? I asked. Can we leave at any time? Just knock or send us a text. The door locks automatically, but we can open it remotely with the click of a button. Just knock. So, what's the story? What's our deal? Interrupted Lindsay. Ghouls, ghosts, vampires. I was so happy to see Lindsay like that. She could barely stand still. The Book of the Godless Grinning Witch is about a cruel witch who... The Book of the Godless Grinning Witch is about a cruel witch who has trapped 4 souls in a box. As they scramble to get out, they start realizing they're not alone. Souls have to find a way out while avoiding the monstrous beings trapped in there with them. I think I'm gonna play a different song. Too chill. What else we got? Ah, this is what I wanted. Yes. That's much more spooky. The Box of the Godless Grinning Witch is about a cruel witch who has trapped 4 souls in a little box. As they scramble to get out, they start realizing they're not alone. The souls have to find a way out while avoiding the monstrous beings trapped in there with them. There were no more hints, and part of the experience was going into it knowing just 2 things. We had been captured, and we weren't alone. Aggie kept her phone so she could text hints and reach the staff if necessary. The rest of us put ours away. This was going to be an intense game with a solve time average of about 4 hours. That said, we were allowed to stay until midnight, and if we solved it without a hint, we got a very special prize. We could also text them to pause the game for a bathroom break. We put away our coats, donned a little stretch, and Lindsay was visibly shaking with excitement. This was going to be good. I was the last one to step inside. Just as the door closed behind us, I noticed a staff member suddenly look off to the side. Their brow furrowed as they stepped back. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. Then the door slammed shut. There's something off, but I don't want to alarm anyone. They were so excited and the game was just getting started. It was a black, windowless room. Lindsay was being chatty, but Dawn and Aggie were kind of wondering what the hell they'd agreed to. After a few seconds, there was this chilling laugh, followed by a light. They'd installed a video projector in the ceiling. The entire room lit up as we looked up to see a video of an impossibly large woman looking down on us, like we were the size of a Rubik's Cube in her hand. She had these sunken, joyless eyes, and a wide grin that stretched ear to ear. Clearly CGI. Far above her we could see the full moon. As an effect, it was pretty impressive. I think she's based on a local legend today. Some kind of pilgrim myth. I've heard about this. There's a grinning witch put her hand over us. The room dark once again. Electric torches flared up along the walls. The game was on. There were all kinds of items all around. Paintings, carpets, chests, tables with strange runes. Classic escape room stuff. We all split up and started looking through whatever we could first get our hands on. Aggie found some sort of pamphlet and started calling out names. Dawn found a set of numbers under a chair. Lindsay was just soaking up the atmosphere, trying to find clues in the paintings. About 30 minutes in, there was this awful sound. A rattling cage, followed by snapping metal. With a loud moan of approaching footsteps. There were a few spots in the room that were obvious hiding spaces, so we hurried inside. Lindsay couldn't stop giggling, and even I felt my pulse racing a bit. But nothing happened. The pre-recorded noises came and went. There was this disconnect, like a pair of real footsteps was supposed to sort of take over the sound, but nothing happened. We just hid for a couple of minutes and stepped out. We missed something? Someone asked. There was a pregnant pause as we looked around the room. Nothing strange. We made decent progress. We found a set of keys that opened a chest, which revealed a backlight disguised as a candle. Using it, we found a set of codes to decipher using a set of runes. We found out there was a touchpad behind a painting, which we could use to write a code that in turn opened a small side room full of clues. So yeah, decent progress. And again, we heard strange noises. Rattling chains, loud moans, thundering footsteps. We figured this was it. That the previous one had just been a warning. So again, we rushed to our hiding spaces. And again, nothing happened. This time, something was clearly broken. There's a recorded voice coming from the ceiling. I think he likes you, it whispered. Like hell it does, Aggie frowned. He's not coming out. Relatable, grinned Dawn. I'm using the bathroom. Text him. Aggie texted the staff as Dawn pulled at the door. It was still locked. Wait, Aggie said. They haven't responded yet. Dawn knocked on the door. There was no response. No sound. Still nothing, added Aggie. No one. Something turned in my stomach. That sudden pinch of worry that something had gone terribly wrong. As Dawn kept pulling on the door, Lindsay stopped smiling. Pep in her step faded. Is this part of it? Lindsay asked. Is it meta thing? Are you in on it? No, I protested. It's just one of those auto-locking doors, and they forgot to set it open, right? It's probably nothing, right? No response, sighed Aggie, holding her phone up. I'm calling Hank. The others gathered around Aggie. I stepped away for a second. Aggie's husband, Hank, wasn't picking up. I put my ear up against the walls and listened, figuring I might be able to hear the staff chit-chatting in the next room over. There's supposed to be actors here or staff just outside. Something about this wasn't adding up. I leaned against the wall listening. I heard footsteps again, but this time they didn't sound pre-recorded. I hurried to the others, holding a finger up to my lips. Listen, I mouthed. There was a slit in the wall where a door could open from the other side. Someone was coming this way. Is that them? Dawn asked. Is that? Those were big steps. Really big, heavy steps. Without knowing who was coming, we all just silently agreed this whole thing felt completely off. No one knew what to do. Hide! Dawn hissed. Plenty of things to hide behind, but the room was small. They'd find us in no time. Despite that, Lindsay and I hid in a small side room. We shut the door, held our breaths, and waited. Dawn was small enough to fit in a chest when Aggie hid behind a curtain in the back of the room. In a low light, it might just work. As the door slid open, I could hear heavy breathing. Big, dragging feet, and a weird wet snorting noise. Clear scratching sound as something sharp was pulled across the floor. Please pick the small one first, Byron, a hoarse voice wheezed. Go on, pick it! A pig-like screech echoed through the room in response. This wasn't a recording, this was coming from whoever was in the room. There really was something there, something big. I heard the sudden sound of tearing fabric and a scream. This awful, drawn-out death scream. Shrieking, pleading terror as someone was physically dragged out of the room. I'd never heard anything like it, and it was impossible to tell who it was. Then, with a thud, it all went silent. The door was closed. Lindsay and I peeked out. The curtain that Aggie had hid behind had been torn down. She was gone. There was blood. We found Dawn curled up into a chest, shivering. She couldn't make eye contact. When we tried to snap her out of it, she just screamed and clawed at us. Her eyes were wild and she was barely breathing. Did you see anything? Lindsay whispered. What was it? Dawn just shook her head. I could see there was a crack in the wooden chest. She might have been able to see something. We just weren't getting through to her. I'm not waiting for that to come back, Lindsay said. Help me get the lights. What? I shivered. The lights! You can't find us in the dark. We went torch by torch and shut it all down. The room went completely dark and we gathered by Dawn's hiding spot. We crouched next to her, trying to calm down. It's part of it, right? Whispered Dawn. Is Aggie in on it? Are you just fucking with me? No, something's wrong, I whispered back. I'm sorry, Dawn, there's bullshit, whizzed Lindsay. This is fucking bullshit, I'm not. Who's got the phone? We all went quiet. Aggie was the one with the phone. Has to be fucking something, said Lindsay. Feel around. What? I was where? I don't know. How the fuck should I know? Just try. Do something. Stepped up to the door. Still locked and no one outside. I started feeling around only to find 2 cables. It might just be a light or something, but there was another possibility. Look, maybe the door is locked until we text them, or time is up. What if the door unlocks? What if it unlocks when we solve it? It won't work, sighed Lindsay. There are some things in here that require a staff member to manually click something open with a button. Some clues just won't work without it. But I don't know... Well, I don't think there's anyone out there anymore. What about fire escapes? You just can't... You can't just lock someone in a room. I could hear Lindsay sink down to the floor. This is a mistake, she cried. All of it. Slide door slammed open again. Big, heaving footsteps came in. Even in the complete dark, we could tell there was someone huge in here with us. Someone who smelled like dirt. Again, something sharp scraped across the floor. Byron, get another one, a voice laughed. Whichever you like. I just pushed myself up against the wall and turned my head on the side. I tried making myself as flat as possible. I knew Lindsay was doing the same. Dawn, on the other hand, was panicking. No, she coughed. No. A loud, pig-like snort. The scraping thing was lifted off the ground. I heard 2 feet firmly planting in the ground as something heavy was lifted, and Dawn fell to the ground with a thud. She tried to talk. She'd had all wind knocked out of her, and so she just tried to get away. I heard a loud exhale. Kind of sound where someone gets something very heavy dropped on them. And in the seconds that followed, I heard this large being, Byron, violently drag Dawn out of the room. To the untrained ear, her scream was almost the same as Aggie's. As the door slammed shut again, I could hear Lindsay sobbing just a few feet away. I couldn't move. My body was stopping me from comforting her, and I'd been so tense, my neck was stiff from pushing my face against the wall for what felt like hours. We just waited. It was probably just minutes. Finally, Lindsay got up. She fumbled her way over to one of the tables, flipped it on its side, and broke a leg off. Then she did it again and handed the second leg to me. Don't just let them, you know? She said. Okay? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. No, I won't. I started to hyperventilate as my fingers wrapped around the slippery wood. There was no way I could use this. My hands were so sweaty, the thing was falling out of my grip. I couldn't fight, nor with that. Not against whatever was taking us out one by one. Maybe barricade the door, she said. Yeah, let's... Wait! It was a good idea, but it was too dark. That, and I could hear the footsteps coming again, faster this time, determined. The thing entered on its own. No guiding voice. Lindsay and I held hands and pushed ourselves up against the wall. I could hear it dragging. Anything this time, but I could hear lips smacking. Followed by these high-pitched micro-grunts. Whatever it was loud. And it was munching on something. It wandered around for a while, feeling around the table, the chest, and not even the side room. After a few minutes, it seemed satisfied not to have found us, and headed back to the door. Just as it was about to exit, we hit the 90-minute mark. The game, partly automated, was still running. The projector came on again, displaying this large woman in the ceiling. The entire room was lit up. It immediately saw us. The thing was nearly 6'8". It was dressed in this sort of torn varsity jacket with filthy mud-covered jeans. There were long strands of black fur poking out of every cut and tear in its clothes, making it look like a badly stuffed scarecrow. It wasn't fully human. Its head looked like a boar. It looked right at us, its snout twitching with excitement. It had these small, dark eyes. I'll never forget how, when it looked at me, they lit up with nothing but joy. No matter the species, you can just tell it was looking forward to this. There was no fear, no malice, just unbridled, violent joy. Like a kid tearing into a Happy Meal. Meeting my eyes, the thing just screamed like a wounded pig and charged. I stepped on my own feet and stumbled backwards. Hadn't it been for Lindsay still holding my hand, I wouldn't have gone down like a sack of flour. Instead, I barely stayed on my feet as we rushed to the other side of the room. Still down there, playthings? The recording in the ceiling spoke. Will you not give up? As the video played above us, the light in the room shifted. Whenever she was more in frame, the light grew more distant. When she moved back, the full moon came into view. You'll get you playthings, the narration continued. It is so futile. There was blood on his jacket. Fresh blood. As the video finished, we'd run a full lap of the room. We were back at the door, and this time he was charging straight ahead. At the last second, Lindsay let go of my hand and we fell to the side. The poor man ran straight into the door. It seemed to upset him as he focused all his rage on it. Pounding, tearing, biting, all the while roaring like a wounded animal. His joy was gone. This was frustration, hunger. It didn't take him long to break the door open, and as light flooded in, he turned to look down the hall. The brightness from the street outside seemed to scare him. He took off out the back. Lindsay and I stayed on the floor a couple of seconds, just to ensure ourselves that the thing was gone. We eventually crawled out the door ready to run. There were bloodied handprints on the wall, something resembling a fingernail. Blood spatter on the ceiling. We ignored it all, got up and went straight for the exit. Come on, come on, come on. I sprained my ankle and Lindsay was bleeding from her hand. We were about 40 feet from the door when we heard that voice again. That voice that guided the poor man. Neither of us turned to see him, we just had to keep going. Tell them, he screamed. Tell them there will be no carnival games in the name of her ladyship. Tell them to fear. Tell them all to fear the grinning witch. He laughed so hard he couldn't breathe. Lindsay pulled me along when all I wanted was to collapse and cry. We burst through the doors and into the night, and far behind us the laughter faded. Putting it all in writing feels a bit weird, like I'm telling someone else's story, but Lindsay is as real as the first time I met her, and I don't think we'll ever overcome the trauma. I still feel myself stopping at random times, listening for footsteps. Lindsay has developed a sort of claustrophobia. No more locked doors, ever. The police chalked it all up as an armed robbery. The security cameras picked up 4 intruders getting in through the back door. 3 hooded figures, a large masked man in a varsity jacket. The case was handed off to a special unit and promptly dropped. We didn't get any updates after that. It wasn't filed as a kidnapping or murder or similar. All they could prove was the break-in. But as far as what happened to Dawn, Aggie, and the staff members, no one knows. There's no car speeding off into the night. There were no witnesses. They seemingly vanished into thin air. It is true that the Grinning Witch was a bit of a local legend. A witch that collected cursed animals and people and put them all in a box. The escape room barely had anything to do with it, though. It was just loosely based on that idea. But somehow that was enough to draw out some kind of hate sect. But I'll never forgive the man with the boar head. No matter how I think about it, no matter how I try to wrap my head around it, I can't stop thinking about him. There was no man in a mask. That snout was wet. Oh, those teeth were real. Nut jobs are everywhere. But that thing? No, it couldn't be. It literally couldn't be. I don't think this will ever be resolved. Why would it be? Things like this don't just happen. They don't. This time, they did. And that was Something Went Wrong with Our Escape Room by Saturday. I thought it was quite interesting. It sort of leaves it open to interpretation whether it was, you know, a kidnapping or a murder. You know? I thought it was very chilling. Great thing about these stories as well is on nosleep, all the comments are in character essentially. So when you scroll down to read them, I'll leave that to you all to do. You know the titles, you know the author. I'll leave that up to you. If you want to get some extra lore, get some extra backstory, and any sort of interaction with the author, I'll leave it to you to go see those comments and even comment if it's not archived. As for me, I'm gonna drink some iron brew and get started on the next story, which again is gonna be by Saturday. It's a bit of a trend. Another day I'll work on some old-fashioned creepypastas that don't really need permission or anything. But for now, I want to work on something that is a bit more modern, a bit less heard of, you know? This one looks promising. It's got a lot of rewards. Yeah, it was spooky, wasn't it, my bro? I like that kind of stuff where it's not like just ghosts all the time, you know? I like more original monsters, and a pig monster does sound pretty scary. That reminds me of like the comments were saying, like Inosuke from Demon Slayer, but instead of being an actual pig, Inosuke and Demon Slayer is a person. This was an actual pig or something. This following story sort of seems to build on the universe that this is all set in. There's some references to the prison story we read. And, wow, I'll just I'll just tell it to you in a sec. Just gotta hydrate, because I can't take breaks to hydrate while I'm reading. Just gotta make sure I'm not gonna burp in the middle of reading. There we go. Anywho, let's get started with there is an extra secret student in my class. Spooky time. It should have been 21 assignments for me to grade, and yet I was looking at 22. It didn't make any sense. I double and triple checked the pile of papers, but there was no mistake. I only had 21 students, and yet there were 22 pages to grade. I was hunched over my desk, going through the pages one by one. I took note of all the names, trying to find the extra assignment. They were all simple essays where they described what they'd done during winter break and what they were most looking forward to in the coming year. A simple English assignment. In the middle of the pile, there was one paper that clearly stood out. was barely legible and there was no signature. The text was written in squiggly lines with a red pen. I pressed so hard into the paper that it punched several holes. "I'll be free," the paper said. "I got out, and she has no idea. There's 2 of us now." The paper was barely legible, half-finished sentences describing a sudden awakening. Thoughts of breaking things, describing people as disposable objects. Hearing a voice in the mirror. "My friend gave me a flower, and now I'm here." There's a scribbled drawing of a blue sunflower in the corner of the paper. It was the strangest thing I'd ever read. Yeah, I'm a teacher. The kids I teach are on the edge of turning into teenagers. It's an awkward age, but it is that space in a young person's life where you can really make an impact. If you can make them feel seen and heard, they might gain a confidence that'll follow them for the rest of their lives. I have 21 students in my class, 8 boys and 13 girls. The day after I graded that paper, I didn't know what to think or say. After I took attendance, it dawned on me, whoever handed in that paper was in the room right now. It threw me off tempo. I had to do some individual assignments while I found my bearings. It was the usual ruckus, bickering and joking, awkward teenage flirting, loud discussions about whatever was new online. But something felt different. Malevolent. It had to be one of the girls. The paper had hinted at it, but which one? Handed out an extra assignment, nothing fancy. I just took the crazy paper out of the bunch and distributed the rest randomly to the students. But tomorrow they were to write a short essay telling me about what they'd read in the other student's essay. Reading comprehension and writing at once? No one would have a problem with that, except the students. As I got back home with some takeout sushi, I looked over the strange paper again. There were some smudges going left to right. No matter if you're right-handed or left-handed, that'll happen. Further down, there were more smudges. It looked like the writer had held the pen like a hook, with the pen facing the writer. It indicated a left-handed writer. I double-checked with a few articles online which said the same thing. But there were no hook-handed writers in my class. I would have noticed. However, I was sure there were a few left-handed people. I finished my sushi and I went to bed with a chilling feeling that I was missing something obvious. The next day, I got the assignments, all 21 of them, no extras. I breathed a sigh of relief, figuring that maybe someone had just played a cruel prank on me. We got through the classes of the day without a hitch. We even managed a fairly successful main quiz. All in all, I wasn't complaining. The extra assignment wasn't that important, so I took them home to grade anyway. Some had put some effort into their work, and I wanted to reward them. No matter the age, everyone loves gold stickers. So I had plenty on my crafts table. I started going through the papers, only to notice something. There were, once again, 22 of them. Oh. At some point during the day, someone had snuck an extra paper in there. Going through the pages, I couldn't help but to feel that bubbling sense of dread. One of these papers was going to be terrifying. It felt like someone was slowly getting pricked by a needle. At first there's just a pressure, but you know the hurt is coming. It was at the bottom of the pile. Red ink, barely legible, spots from a hook-handed writer. "I know you've caught on," the paper said. "I want you to know. I want you to chase." The little sketches of drops of blood falling into an open mouth. Crude, but clear. Chase me. I chase you. I didn't sleep well that night. I pulled the curtains, I double-checked all the locks, I pulled the covers up tight, and I left the light on in the hallway. And yet, I still had that awful sinking feeling that I was missing something. Was it Claire? She'd always been a bit of an oddball. Or maybe someone I'd never expect, like Shonda, maybe Petra, Fiona. I had this mental image of someone following me to my car, a young girl hiding in the back seat, a maniacal smile popping up in the rearview mirror. Sharp little nails and unblinking eyes diving towards me, cutting my throat open as I'm going 17 miles per hour down the freeway. I didn't sleep well that night. I started imagining shadows passing by in the hall, in the corner of my eye. A few days passed. I started taking notes on the girls in class. I checked what pens they had and which was their main hand. If it was just a matter of someone pranking me, it might be enough just to find a left-handed girl. However, no girl in my class was left-handed and no one owned a red ink pen. I also had a chat with the school counselor. They couldn't betray patient confidentiality, but they could tell me whether they were aware of any problems that might explain this. They weren't. If anything, they seemed more worried about me. Since this started, I seemed a bit on edge. They didn't blame me, but they wanted to make sure I was taking care of myself. I tried several tricks. I tried monitoring the hand-ins. I tried watermarking the papers. I tried all kinds of tricks, but I got nothing. At the end of the day, I kept getting outsmarted, as if the paper just appeared out of nowhere. Sometime during the day, I couldn't pin it on anyone. I tried to just forget about it, but every time I graded a paper, I feared that another threat would show up. Sometimes it did, and sometimes it didn't. But the times it did, it just ruined me. A peaceful moment of grading papers and listening to audiobooks had turned into a horrific sideshow. "I'll show you," one of the notes said. "I'll break a light in your house." The same day, the kitchen light stopped working. It didn't look broken, but how could I possibly tell? One of those days, as I was chopping leeks in the kitchen, I got this awful, sinking feeling in my stomach. Looking out the window, I noticed something. A silhouette, just a few feet away. She was short, long, black hair. There was something wrong with the shape of her face. Her skin looked grey. For a moment, we just stared at one another. It took me a few seconds to realize that it wasn't just a face. It was a skull. Still clutching my kitchen knife, I stumbled away from the window. It had to be a mask. It wasn't a real face. It couldn't be. Suddenly the lights broke. All of them. The kitchen, the hallway, the bathroom. Hell, even my desktop lamp in my home office. All of them shattered, spreading searing hot shards across the floor with a violent bang. My ears rang and I dove for cover. It felt like a gunshot. Looking up, there was no one left outside. No mask, no kid, no nothing. I called the police, but there was little they could do. There'd been a power surge, that much the electric company could confirm, but there were no witnesses of an intruder. I showed them the notes and filed a threat report. We had a long talk and they tried their best to calm me down, but at the end of the day I was still alone and someone was out there. I went through that image in my head 1,000 times. I had several girls in my class, but no one would fit what I'd seen. Her hair was too long, she was too short, too skinny. I couldn't think of anyone that fit that description. that she'd been there. No doubt in my mind. I had this gnawing feeling that I'd seen her before. Over the next couple of days, I couldn't stop seeing her. She'd be across the road as I went to work in the morning. I'd see her pass by the window in the cafeteria, and one day as I was driving home, I saw her in the rear view mirror of my car. Grey, death's head, grinning at me. I was getting more notes. Not just slipped into the hand in assignments, but also just scattered around my apartment. At one point I snapped. I just stepped out of the shower. I'd put on a bathrobe and had started to dry my hair when I noticed a message on the bathroom mirror. There, written backwards, it simply said, "Chase me." I screamed as my heart sunk. I broke the bathroom mirror with my hairdryer. "What the fuck do you want from me?" I called out. "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I barely noticed the glass shards cutting into my feet as I stormed out. I'd had enough. I had to do something. I couldn't live like this forever. Kid or not, this had to end. "Where are you?" I called out as I passed out through my bedroom. "Where the fuck are you?" I glimpsed something outside the window. Of course she was around. Always there. Always near. "Come out!" I screamed as I entered the kitchen. "Show yourself!" The moment I stepped into the kitchen, it shook. Every drawer, every door, every appliance, everything flung open as if pulled open by a steady hand. I was so frustrated I could cry. I just wanted it to end, but I was too scared to move. It felt like anything could happen at any moment, like the entire world was listening to me and reacting accordingly. I just stood there, remembering to breathe. "Please," I whispered, "show yourself, stop this." And as if to answer my call, she did. The front door creaked. Hinges rusted and fell apart. A gentle breeze was all it took for the door to break. She was so small. There's no doubt in my mind she wasn't wearing a mask. She was nothing but bone. I backed away like an animal pushed into a corner. I tried to force myself to attack, to do something. But as a response, the kitchen shook again. This time it was pandemonium. Cutlery crashed onto the floor. Plates rolled out of the dishwasher and broke apart. Glasses shot across the room like bullets. Even the little drawer of miscellanea collapsed in on itself, spreading knickknacks and rubber bands all over the room. "I've chased you!" I screamed. "Are you fucking done? Is this it?" She raised a thin, grey finger. She pointed at something in the corner. A dry, blue sunflower. Something clicked in my head. That sense of missing something. It was still there, but this was the answer. Somehow this was it. "What do you mean? What? Just talk. Don't just..." There it was. First note. Be a drawing of a blue sunflower, and it said she'd gotten it as a present. It was that flower. I was sure of it. I got out, and she has no idea there's two of us now. That's what it said. That was part of the very first note. She was talking about me. I'd written those notes myself. I'd handed in the assignments. That's how I never noticed it. I looked over at my crafts table. My red ink pen was half empty by now. I have red smudges under my left hand. And then there was her. Of course, I'd seen her before, time and time again. I had long black hair as a kid. I've been skinny and short. You found me, her little voice said. Funny. The images came flooding back. Shadow in the bathroom mirror, a simple hello. And a flower offered. I remember taking the hand of an impossible being, reaching across a nightmare space to darken my inner child. This awful, malevolent being living at the core of my soul, something dead and resurrected, trying to make room for madness. It wasn't just madness. She was real. Doors don't rust by themselves. Glasses don't throw themselves. And I can't for the life of me cause an electric surge with my mind. This was a real being with real power, and she'd settled in the back of my mind. And now I'd chased her. I'd found her. You want me to leave? She asked. I can. I didn't know what to say. Of course I wanted her gone. I wanted it to all be over. But there was this gnawing feeling that there was more to it. She didn't just scare me and torture me for the fun of it. Tell me to leave, she insisted. Set me free. That was it, wasn't it? She wasn't free. She came from me, and so maybe she was stuck with me. Maybe she couldn't leave. Maybe she couldn't hurt anyone else, not as long as I'm around. It said, I'll be free on that first night. That meant she wasn't free as of now. To me, it suddenly made sense. Standing there, I just shook my head. You can't leave, can you? Cackled. You're just as stuck as me as I am with you. I could kill you, she laughed. No, you can't, can you? If so, why haven't you? There was no response. You need to cut you loose to get out of here, don't you? That I find you and just let go. I took a step forward and saw blood seeping out from the sole of my feet. My hands were rattling like leaves in the wind. I'm not letting you go! I screamed. No fucking way! I'll hurt you. Do your fucking worst! There was nothing more. The blink of an eye, she was gone, but in my mind's eye, I could still see her. Every memory of seeing myself as a kid was tainted. I have memories of seeing myself in a mirror with a skull-faced grin. I remember seeing my reflection in water puddles. I knew that wasn't what I looked like, but in my head, that was me. We were interchangeable. She was me, and I was her. Two beings, and I was gonna keep her there. I'll be a walking fucking jail. I know it sounds absurd, but she is real and nothing I can do changes that. I couldn't live with that thing coming out, reaching other people, spreading. Can't work at the school anymore. She scares the children. I'm afraid of seeing other people. She hurts them whenever she gets the chance. I've seen birds fall out of the sky, a family of moles lying dead at my doorstep, circles of roadkill lined up around my car. I've been thrown, cut, burned, and beaten, but I haven't succumbed. She is just as scared of me as I am of her. I had to write this down. If you're reading this, something has happened. Maybe an accident, maybe I've grown sick. I set up for this to be posted as my post-mortem, as an explanation for my eccentric behavior. It's on a 7-day timer, so if I haven't confirmed my status by that time, it is safe to say that I'm not around anymore. If I died, I pray to God I took her with me. Don't want to think about what I think could do if set free, unbound. automatic post scheduling. 0000000 GMT provided by OpenCode. Well, that was... There is an extra secret student in my class. Oh my. I think this builds on what exactly the blue sunflower means. What exactly it does to people. Oh, that. I think I might have to stop streaming now because it's coming up for 7:30. I need to eat again. But I hope you enjoyed. I'm definitely down to do some more of this again sometime. Hopefully I'll get permission at some point from authors of No Sleep stories, but if not, I'll start to read some of the classics, you know. I don't think Jeff the Killer is gonna be something I'll read though, or anything like that. I don't know. It just seems a bit overdone, oversaturated, and I don't know many people who are genuinely scared of that these days, you know. But I do plan on doing some classics. I know there's a pretty funny one that Call Me Kevin wrote. If anyone follows him, I'd love to do like funny ones like that as well, like really badly written ones. I love to read My Immortal sometime. That should be pretty funny. But yeah, anything like horror or spooky or goth or whatever themed for Halloween would be great, even if it's just a funny video. I'd love to do that. My Immortal's a bit oversaturated too, but since it's funny, I'll make exceptions, you know? The thing about horror is if you don't know what's coming, you're gonna be scared. If you know what's coming, you're not gonna be so scared. So, yeah. Whereas with funny stuff, you can laugh at the same thing over and over again. You can be reminded of something you laughed at years ago and be like, oh yeah, that was hilarious. Like, the searing egg. Or, what's about the classic memes? Pregante. I'll be going through some old memes and stuff. Yeah. Let me know if you want to see something funny or scary next time. Any recommendations you might have. Anything like that. I'll be happy to look into. But the only thing is, although I'm not turning a profit, I do kind of need to get permission from the original authors, unless it's something that, like My More, has since been deleted and dissolved and just archived and stuff, and then it's like, well, you couldn't really contact the original creator if you tried, you know? Oh, thank you, my bro, for turning up again. You really support me for everything, and it's very nice of you. I'm glad that you had fun. I'm willing to do more Saturday stuff because he has a whole like lore behind his stories. If you ever wanted to hear it, but yeah, being a variety channel and to do different stuff as well. I think next time I will read my more and some other funny stuff because now I've had the idea. It sounds good. So yeah, I think on Friday you can expect some Mimel, some I can't even remember what Call Me Kevin's story was, but it was about a supermarket or something. But yeah, thanks for always turning up to the stream, my bro. And thanks for Ray to popping in every now and again, checking how it's going. Appreciate it. And to the pumpkin patch as a whole, thank you very much. I love doing random ass content for you, for your face. And you know, if you do have any recommendations, let me know. If you don't, I'm just gonna pick whatever random thing pops into my head. So yeah, if you don't want utter chaos, subscribe, comment, do all that engagement stuff. Yeah, the ultimate goal of this channel is to get 1,000 subs so I can monetize things. Really just means that I can do content more often and upgrade a lot of stuff. Yeah, nowhere near there yet, but I can still set a goal. I can still hope for the best. But yeah. Hope you all had fun. I love you guys. Golly gee. So yeah, I got 5 minutes if anyone wants to chat for a bit. If not, I can just go as well. Might as well put on some more upbeat music, right? Listen. Like this. This is also kind of spooky. You know, I might have this on for the next stream. It's quite good. Yeah, got a lot of copyright free stuff from YouTube. I might get more stuff for my sound library, but you have to be so careful about if it actually is copyright free or not, and websites can lie. So I would only go with something like that the whole community trusts, you know, because I don't want to get hit with DMCA or anything. Oh man. Yeah, I might as well stop the stream here. Thank you again to Mobro, to Ray, and everyone else for watching. And thank you to Saturday for making such awesome content that I could read to my viewers. Stay spooky, pumpkin patch, and I'll be back tomorrow. See you then.